pin needs to cool down for a few minutes.
Great. Look, I don't know about you, but I just spend way too much of my day looking at my phone, and I'm frankly kind of tired of it, which makes devices like this, the Humane AI pin, feel kind of tantalizing. At its very basic level, it's kind of a button that you press to talk to an AI, which, among other things, can summarize your messages and play music for you and tell you a bit more about the world without having to pull out a phone. Now let's just get a couple things clear out of the gate. This is a $700 device that you wear. It costs $24 a month for the line of service that lets you use cellular data on it. This thing does get its own separate phone number when you set it up. If you want to listen to music on it, you have to pay $10 additional for Tidal, unless you're a Tidal subscriber, and I don't know too many of those. These are not insignificant costs. So, should you pay smartphone prices for something that can't, and by their own admission, won't replace your phone? To see if AI gadgets like this are kind of worth living with right now, I strapped this thing on for well over a week. Here's what I've learned. There are a few ways you're meant to interact with the pin, but the way that feels the most natural and the way the company likes to talk about the most is just talking to it. Hey, can you tell me what's in the news today?
Fetching latest news.
It has come in really handy in ways that I haven't expected, and that's, I think, partially because of how natural it is to just talk to something. I asked it for the average price range of a specific kind of sweatshirt I like that were only made in Japan. It correctly pulled those prices off of eBay to give me an accurate range. I also asked it to summarize reviews of a smart Bluetooth connected pepper spray on Amazon, and it correctly flagged that sometimes people have Bluetooth connectivity issues. Even so, I feel like I fall prey to what I call the double check problem. Like, I know that this is using a bunch of sophisticated AI models to respond to me and to give me information. I can't resist the urge to just whip out my phone and make sure it's telling me the truth. And if I'm gonna do that, why wouldn't I just whip out my phone to look this stuff up in the first place? One of the coolest things about the pin is that it has a built-in laser projector, so you can catch up on your messages and see the time and change your text and tell it to stop, like I just did. Stop! One of the problems is, it's just weird to kind of figure out how to use it, as you're meant to roll your hand around to access menus and you pinch to select, sort of like on a Vision Pro. It works, but it takes a lot of getting used to. I still don't feel like I have the tilting and rolling kind of gesture down great. It is a little messy, which is forgivable, I think, from a Generation 1 product. There's a camera built in. If you wanted to try, you can ask it to take a photo, or you could take 2 fingers, do a quick double tap, and you've got a selection of 3 photos that live on the pin. They'll eventually be uploaded to the cloud backend called Humane Center. Bear in mind, it is about as good as a camera on a smartphone from 10 years ago. It also takes a little bit of time to just figure out how to talk to this thing. Here's a good example. Last week, one of my favorite bands, this band called Lawrence, dropped a new single that I really like. And when I asked the pin to play it, it just sort of sat there and chewed on it and then told me about the song, including the platforms I could play it on, none of which are available on the pin. This is not a scientific measure by any stretch, but it feels like for every correct interaction I have with it, I have at least one corresponding F-up that I just kind of have to sit with and ponder for a second before I try again. For what it's worth, you can also connect a pair of Bluetooth headphones to this thing to listen to that music and to just hear it better out in the world, which is almost a must, because if you're around any appreciable number of people in the real world, this becomes really hard to hear, even at full volume.
Sending the message. Here's the most recent photo.
By the way, you basically cannot use this projector outside at all. If you're under broad daylight, it is non-usable. There are also just little things that I want a device like this to be able to do that it can't. It can apparently translate between 50 different languages, and the languages I've tried did seem to work, but you can't set a timer. It can't look at your calendar. So if you were counting on something to remind you that something was going to happen today, this isn't going to be it. In fairness to the Humane team, these are issues that they're generally aware of and they're actively working on fixing. Now, I don't want you to walk away thinking that I think this thing is dumb and bad. When it does work in the specific sets of conditions where it does tell me what I need and the projector works and the audio comes through loud and clear, it's actually kind of nice to be able to think about things and learn new things without having to whip out my phone. But the circumstances in which this thing feels useful right now are just so limited that basically anyone except the earliest of early adopters should really just sit and wait and see what the updates bring, because right now some people will have spent $700 on this thing and I don't really know what they'd use it for. Now, this was a lightning fast take on what is genuinely a very strange and very interesting device. If you want more detail, please check out the full story on WashingtonPost.com.